Chromogranin A is a big chemical that's in the circulation. It comes from neuroendocrine cells and neurological cells, and nearly every cell in the body. It's there in a little amount all the time. It's a big protein, so for somebody like me who likes to measure very, very small amounts, a millionth of a gram in a little blood sample, then chromogranin A is a challenge because it's so big, there are fewer molecules there. If I was measuring something that's tiny, there'd be lots and lots and lots of molecules there. So it's harder to measure. Initially, because it was very difficult to measure, and because the tumours, after it's released from the tumours or from normal cells, it's processed in the blood to smaller pieces, then we tried to measure the whole molecule, and that wasn't very successful. So we went on to measuring bits. So we would measure the bits that we find in the blood, and we would sort out what bits are in the blood and then what bits are only in the blood of patients with tumours. There's another problem. We've started now to measure the whole molecule of chromogranin, and that's freely available in a lot of labs, but there are about 5 commercial tests, and they're all a little bit different. So it's very important that the one patient uses the one centre that uses the one lab, so that the sample that you gave 5 years ago is comparable to the sample that you give this week, and it means something. Chromogranin A can rise in other things as well as in neuroendocrine tumours, and these are quite common things. If you're taking proton pump inhibitors to stop acid secretion, and a lot of people do that, then that causes it to rise, and it can rise really high with that as well. It also raises very significantly in a thing called autoimmune atrophic gastritis. That's quite common in people over 40 as well. So there's 2 reasons why it might be high and it might not be a tumour. So might I say, in America, when they do a sample in the laboratory, they send the result to the patient. This is difficult because the patient gets panic-stricken immediately and sees their chromogranin is 10 times normal. But it might be for quite a simple reason. Here, it goes back to the doctor, which is a good idea, because the doctor can say to you, now, are you on PPIs? Do you have this? We'll check these things out. We'll exclude these. And then we'll know if it is a tumour, perhaps. The other frightening thing is people think if there's a 5 or 10% rise in a test, this is terribly significant. Things are getting terribly worse, and it's quite frightening. And with chromogranin, a 5 or 10% rise is not terribly significant. It doesn't mean your tumour is twice the size or it's spread all over the body. So small rises, small falls are less significant. It maybe depends slightly on the time of day or what you've eaten. And it's best really then to rely on your doctor interpreting the results. Well, neuroendocrine tumours, especially from the small bowel, that's the ileum, and a little bit from the lung, they can produce amines. Those are different. They are hormones, I suppose, in a way, but they're amines, they're not peptides. So serotonin is an amine. Serotonin is found in a lot of food substances. So if you've been out eating 2 or 3 bananas or had a pawpaw or a pile of nuts, then your serotonin will rise. It's also released by very many tumours from the small bowel and from about 1/4 of tumours in the lung. And it gives a marker, so you get a urine sample collected usually over 24 hours in the bottle, and you try not to leave it on the bus because that's embarrassing to go back and ask them for it. And then we have to make sure that your diet has been restricted in the days before, to make sure that none of these foods that would raise your serotonin have been present in your diet. And then it's a really good gauge of, yes, you've got a midgut tumour or a lung tumour, and the differential between those should be easy to sort out.